Good day, everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about a lesson in Calculus 1, specifically the basic differentiation rules. Let's start. First, we have the constant rule. The constant rule states that for any function f of x equals c, where c is constant, its derivative f prime of x will always be equal to 0. For example, if f of x is equal to 7, then its derivative f prime of x is 0. Another instance would be if f of x is equal to 43, its derivative will also be 0. Let's move on. The second rule is the power rule. And the power rule states that for any function f of x equals x raised to n, its derivative would be nx raised to n minus 1. Let's have an example. Here we have f of x equals x squared. To get its derivative, we bring down the exponent, then reduce the exponent by 1. In this case, that would be 2x raised to 2 minus 1. We simplify and we will get 2x raised to 1, or simply 2x. Another example, f of x equals x to the fourth power. To get its derivative, we drop down the exponent 4, then reduce the exponent by 1. That would be 4x raised to 4 minus 1, or simply 4x cubed. Let's move on to our next rule. The third rule is the constant multiple rule. This rule states that for any function g of x equals c times f of x, its derivative would be c times the derivative of f of x. For example, if f of x is equal to 3x squared, its derivative would be setting aside the constant 3, then deriving the variable x squared. In this case, that would be 3 times 2x raised to 2 minus 1. We simplify the terms and that would give us 3 times 2x raised to 1, or simply 6x. Another example, f of x equals 7x cubed. To get its derivative, we set aside the constant 7, then derive the variable x cubed. That would give us 7 times 3x raised to 3 minus 1. Then we simplify. We'll get 7 times 3x squared, or 21x squared. Let's move on. Our next rule is the addition and/or subtraction rule. This rule states that for any function h of x equals f of x plus g of x, its derivative would be f prime of x plus g prime of x. In a similar way, if h of x equals f of x minus g of x, its derivative would be f prime of x minus g prime of x. Let's have an example. F of x equals 3x squared plus 2x. To get its derivative, we simply derive the two terms, then retain the operator between them. We simplify, then we'll get 6x plus 2. Another example would be f of x equals x cubed minus 7x squared. This is subtraction or minus sign in between them. To get its derivative, again we simply derive the two terms, then retain the operator between them. We simplify and we will get 3x squared minus 14x. Let's move on to our next rule. The next rule is the product rule. This rule states that for any function h of x equals f of x times g of x, its derivative would be f prime of x times g of x plus g prime of x times f of x. For example, f of x equals x cubed minus 7 times 2x squared plus 3. To get its derivative, we derive the first equation, x cubed minus 7, that would be 3x squared, times the original second function, that would be 2x squared plus 3, plus, we copy the first equation, that would be x cubed minus 7, times the derivative of the second equation, 2x squared plus 3, which is 4x. We simplify the terms, and that would give us 6x to the fourth power plus 9x squared plus 4x to the fourth power minus 28x. We combine similar terms and we'll get 10x to the fourth power plus 9x squared minus 28x. On to our last rule, the quotient rule. The quotient rule states that for any function h of x equals f of x over g of x, the derivative is g of x times f prime of x minus f of x times g prime of x all over g squared of x. In simpler terms, that would be the lower equation times the derivative of the higher equation minus the higher equation times the derivative of the lower equation all over the square of the lower equation. We have a mnemonics here that we can use, which is phrased as low derivative high or low the high minus high derivative low or high the low all over low squared. Let's have an example. f of x equals 4x cubed minus 7x plus 8 all over x. To get its derivative, we use the mnemonics. That would be low x, derivative of the higher equation 4x cubed minus 7x plus 8, that would be 12x squared minus 7, minus high 4x cubed minus 7x plus 8, derivative low, which is x, its derivative is 1, all over low squared, or simply x squared. We simplify the terms and that would give us 12x cubed minus 7x minus 4x cubed plus 7x minus 8 all over x squared. We combine similar terms and that would give us the final derivative of 8x cubed minus 8 all over x squared. These are the 6 basic differentiation rules. I hope you learned something from this video and see you on our next video.